Monroe shot the 16-year-old in Bunnell back in 2022. Monroe and two other people in a vehicle got into an argument with a set of people in a car nearby when he opened fire. The teen was shot in the hip and died from his injuries.
You don't happen to know anything about any incidents that may have happened in the city of Bunnell? I heard what happened. It's all over Instagram.
Quick, you did that, and I was just minding my own business in the backseat when everybody knows it's not true. Man. You have to tell the truth. You have to tell the truth, Stephen. Think about what your fucking parents are going to say about this, man. Your parents are fucking good people, man.
Imagine this. You're in a car with your boys when you see an op on the street, shots get fired, someone dies, and y'all get arrested within days. When the charges come down, everyone gets offered the same deal, and everyone except you takes it in a literal heartbeat, like within seconds of getting the deal. No joke, like as soon as they sat at the interrogation table.
Dre doesn't want to go down whatsoever, right? So he says you shoot, and he says Pooh shoots. Pooh, this morning, just out of anger, we slide him a piece of paper that says you have a warrant for your arrest for murder. He's like, F that, I'm not the only one going down for this shit. I'll tell you what happened. He tells us the whole story, and it exactly matches up with the evidence. Exactly.
Your homeboys just dropped the shit out of you worse than y'all dropped your op. This was the case of Stephen Monroe, a young guy in a small Florida town who, in 2022, shot an innocent teen to death with two friends. All of his friends took plea deals, leaving him to face the consequences alone. This story is as harsh as the streets go. You cannot get more fake gangster than this. Bunnell, Florida is a small town behind Palm Coast with a population around 3,000. It's not the kind of place you'd expect a full-blown gang war if you're someone not familiar with the area. But by 2022, law enforcement had identified two opposing groups beefing hard with each other. On one side, you had what they called the Bunnell side. On the other was the Palm Coast side, also known as GSO, which stood for Get Stepped On. This beef was a super Gen Z type social media war. These gangsters made their shit public, dissing each other online, posting threats, and making diss tracks. If there's one surefire way to incriminate yourself, it's turning your beef into content. Might as well wear a sign saying, "I'm the killer." In the days leading up to January 12, 2022, 23-year-old Stephen Monroe and his crew had been taunting a guy named Ed Sampson, who went by Ed Boy. They were posting videos on Instagram Live, pointing guns at the camera, the same guns they would later use in a murder, by the way, calling Ed Boy a coward, and daring him to catch some smoke. Gangbanging online is all fun and games until it becomes real life, which happened on the 12th. January 12, 2022. It's evening time in Bunnell. Devondre Williams is behind the wheel of a Kia SUV driving through South Anderson Street. In the car with him are Tyrese Patterson in the back seat and Stephen Monroe riding shotgun. The three are rolling together, hunting for Ed Boy, riding around the neighborhood multiple times. They eventually roll past where 16-year-old Noah Smith is standing outside his house with some friends and a guy named Terrell Sampson, Ed Boy's brother. Someone in the car yells something like, "Get out of the way," like a threat. Williams drives off, probably thinking they've made their point. But then Terrell Sampson, from a wooded area, pulls out a gun and fires at their vehicle. Now here's where everything spirals. Instead of getting out of there, instead of driving back to Palm Coast and ending the night with their lives, Williams makes a choice. For 2 full minutes, they circle the block and decide what kind of men they were going to be that night, and they decide to come back. Williams deliberately drives back through the intersection, slowly. Monroe fires once from the passenger seat before his gun jams. Patterson in the back empties an entire clip and sprays the block with gunfire. When the smoke clears, Noah Smith is lying on the ground with a gunshot wound to his hip. Noah's father would rush him to the hospital in their white Cadillac, but it was too late. 16-year-old Noah Smith, an honor student uninvolved in the beef, bled to death. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office launched a massive investigation.
One time you guys decided to go down to op territory and not have your fucking pole
That
on?
shit was Dre gun, like I said.
Which one?
Whatever gun that y'all talking about,
Okay.
any of them guns.
I'm not saying who
Dre
owns the
stuff.
gun. I don't care who
I
owns the
understand
gun.
what you're saying.
You shot down the
but
block
I'm
that
telling
night.
you, no, I didn't.
Stephen.
Monroe, Williams, Patterson, and Sampson were all arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Under Florida law, it doesn't matter whose bullet actually killed Noah. If you're all involved in the same criminal act that results in a death, you're all equally responsible. First-degree murder in Florida means life in prison without parole if convicted. Of course, no one was talking, so the cops began offering plea deals. The state attorney's office offered Monroe 25 to 50 years, which was the exact same deal they offered Patterson. Take the plea, admit to second-degree murder instead of first-degree, and let the judge decide where you fall in that range. It's a long-ass time, despite the fact that it was discovered Monroe's bullet wasn't the fatal shot, but at least it isn't life. Williams immediately took a deal. 40 to 60 years, sentenced to 55. He was sentenced as a juvenile at the time, meaning he's eligible for review after 25 years. He was also charged with killing another 16-year-old, Kimarian Hall, 5 months after Noah's death in the same area.
Okay, 911, where's your emergency?
Yes, I need an officer on the corner of Pine and Bowie. I just heard a lot of shots. I think someone's been shot. I don't know any details. You guys need to get here as fast as possible. It's Pine and Bowie.
Patterson immediately took a deal, 25 to 50 years if he flipped to the state against his friends and expressed remorse. He got 30 years. Terrell Sampson, the guy who started the whole thing by shooting first, took a deal, 5 to 15 years, sentenced to 12. But Monroe declined, looking to stick to his gangster code and protect his so-called friends. He initially lied to interrogators, claiming there was a fourth man involved and that he never shot.
There's only 3 people in the car that night. So this guy that you've talked about, this guy with the wicks that was supposedly driving the car, we can tell at this point for sure that that person does not exist. Okay.
However, over the course of their interrogation, the cops cracked him and told him several times that his buddies had told them everything. He made more claims about certain people being out to get him, as in they'd lied in their testimonies, but 12 wasn't having it. Monroe went to trial in February 2025, and it did not go well. His only defense was self-defense, claiming he fired his single shot because he saw someone with a rifle shooting at them. The problem was those 2 minutes they took to reconsider firing back. In the law's eyes, that's retaliation.
Got a car before I walk, but now I'm on my shit now. First one wasn't hit without the effort, time to spin out. Ain't got time for problems, so that's why I keep my stick out. Practice for performance, so we might just take...
And this is why you never put your beefs up for the public to see. Prosecutors played the Instagram live video of Monroe and Patterson taunting Ed Boy with guns hours before the shooting. They played a rap song Monroe had written after the shooting, describing the incident in detail and taunting Terrell Sampson, straight out of a Key and Peele sketch.
I was laughing super hard as Darnell was dying. The name of the album is I Killed Darnell Simmons. It's a concept album. That's a picture of you. A picture of you. And behind you is Darnell Simmons' body.
Monroe had given 3 or 4 different stories to detectives over the months following the shooting. First, he wasn't there at all. Then he was there but didn't shoot. Then he shot but in self-defense against a ghost shooter with an assault rifle who somehow left no evidence anywhere. The jury deliberated for less than 20 minutes and found Monroe guilty of first-degree murder. All 4 men were equally involved in the incident that killed Noah Smith. All 4 were offered deals, though Sampson's was different since he fired first, but his bullet didn't kill anyone. Tyler Patterson will likely be out of prison at around 50 years old with good behavior. Devondre Williams could get out around his early 40s if the parole board gives him it in 25 years. Terrell Sampson will be out of prison before his 30s, and Monroe, who fired 1 single non-fatal shot, will die behind bars. The difference between Monroe and everyone else isn't that he was more guilty. Under the law, they were all equally responsible for Noah's death. The difference is that Monroe refused to sign a piece of paper. And here's what makes this story so sad beyond Noah Smith's senseless death. This all started over nothing. It was legit over some teenagers saying dumb stuff to each other on Instagram. They played wannabe gangster, and almost all of them flipped the second they faced the consequences of their actions. And Monroe, worst of all, was left holding the bag by his friends. The judge said a really good piece at Patterson's sentencing. Quote, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future." Let me know in the comments what you think about this case, and subscribe for more deep dives into stories that reveal the harsh realities of crime. Until next time, stay safe out there and don't play gangster online or real life. The streets aren't worth a second of your time, let alone all of it.